Every so often, a piece of technology drops that doesn't just, slightly improve things, it completely changes how we see the world. Literally. And today, we're diving into one of those moments. This is a new way of looking at our planet that's more detailed, more unified, and way more powerful than anything we've had before. So, here's the news. Google Deepmind just published a paper on a pretty massive breakthrough AI model they're calling AlphaEarth Foundations. And let's be real, this isn't just another map app on your phone. They're framing this as a fundamental shift in how we observe and, more importantly, understand Earth. But that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, we've got incredible satellite maps already. We use them every day. So what's actually missing? What's the problem that's so big it needs an AI like this? Well, to get that, you have to look at the data itself. And that brings us to our first point. This flood of data. See, the problem isn't that we don't have enough information from space. It's that we're basically drowning in it. And trying to see our planet clearly through all that noise, it's incredibly hard. Okay, so here's the core issue. On the one hand, you have this absolute mountain of raw satellite data. It's kind of chaotic. It's coming from all these different sensors. Some are optical, like a camera. Others are radar, which can see right through clouds. They're all capturing different things at different times. But what we actually need to make good decisions is the complete opposite. A single, unified picture of the planet that makes sense. One that we can actually act on. And the problem goes even deeper. The real bottleneck is this idea of sparse labels. Think of it like this. We have countless terabytes of photos of Earth, but almost none of them have tags telling us, hey, this is a cornfield, or this is a mangrove forest that's disappearing, or this is new urban sprawl. Without those high-quality labels, all that amazing data is just, well, it's just pixels. And that gap is what's made true planetary scale monitoring so difficult. Until now. Which brings us to the solution, this idea of a virtual satellite. This is really the big conceptual leap that AlphaEarth is built on. It's not just another camera in orbit. It's something totally new. So instead of taking yet another picture, AlphaEarth acts like a universal translator for all the other satellites. It takes all that messy, jumbled data from dozens of sources and fuses it into a single, unified digital model. It creates a common language, what the researchers call an embedding, that computers can finally use to understand our planet in a consistent way. And look, this isn't just some theory in a lab. Partners are already using it. Tasso Azevedo, who founded Mapbiomas to track environmental change, says this tech is a complete game changer. It's allowing his team to do things they, quote, would have never been able to do before. Okay, so how does it actually do it? How does it turn that chaos of raw data into such clear, useful insight? Let's get into how it works. It really boils down to this super powerful three-step process. First, it fuses all that information from tons of different sources: optical, radar, even 3D laser mapping. Then it compresses all that data. For every single 10 by 10 meter square of land on Earth, it creates this tiny, compact summary, like a digital fingerprint. And third, it analyzes how that fingerprint changes from month to month, year to year. And that compression step, it is a massive deal. These digital fingerprints, these summaries, they need 16 times less storage space than other advanced AI systems. Now that's not just a little better, that's a breakthrough that finally makes it affordable and practical to analyze the entire planet. And here's where it starts to feel a little bit like magic. Because the model understands the world over time, it can intelligently fill in the blanks. So if a satellite image is blocked by clouds, no problem. AlphaEarth can infer what's underneath based on what was there before, what's there after, and what other sensors like radar are seeing. It just paints a complete, seamless picture, even when the data is messy. Okay, that's the theory, and it sounds great. But does it actually work any better? I mean, how does it really stack up against other models out there in the real world? Well, the numbers are pretty clear. When they tested it across a whole bunch of different mapping tasks, AlphaEarth was just flat out more accurate. On average, it had a 24% lower error rate than the next best model. It just performs better, especially in those tricky situations where you don't have a lot of perfect data to start with.
And to really get what that means, just think about how we used to do this. You'd try to map a really cloudy area, say, in the tropics, and you'd just get these huge gaps in your map. You'd have this patchy, unreliable picture that was hard to make any sense of. But with AlphaEarth, the whole picture changes. You get a clear, coherent, high-resolution map. All of a sudden, you can see through the clouds in Ecuador to map out individual farms. You can get a clear map of Antarctica, which is notoriously difficult. It can even spot really subtle differences in farmland in Canada that are basically invisible to the human eye. And that ability is already changing how we protect the planet. Nick Murray, who runs the Global Ecosystems Atlas, says this dataset is, quote, revolutionizing what they do. They can now help countries map ecosystems that have never been mapped before, which is absolutely crucial for figuring out where to focus their conservation work. All right, so let's zoom out. What does this all add up to? Beyond the cool tech, why does this new way of seeing our planet really matter to all of us? Well, the real-world uses are huge, and they touch on some of the biggest challenges we're all facing. Scientists are using it right now to track deforestation with incredible new clarity, to improve food security by keeping a better eye on crops, to guide conservation, to watch how our cities are growing, and to manage our most critical water resources. And that's exactly why that name, AlphaEarth Foundations, is so perfect. Because this isn't about just one better map. It's about building a whole new digital foundation, a common language for understanding the health, the changes, and the really complex dynamics of our entire planet. So, what's next? What happens when you have a living, learning map of the entire world right at your fingertips? For the very first time, we have a tool that lets us ask our planet these incredibly complex questions and actually get answers back in a detail we've just never seen before. We basically built a new way to have a conversation with our world. The only question left is, what are we going to ask it first?